Here's something many women don't realize. Estrogen plays a crucial role in keeping your urinary tract healthy. So as estrogen starts to fluctuate, then decline during the perimenopause and menopause, your risk of cystitis, recurrent UTIs, and bladder irritation can increase, even if you've never experienced them before. So keep watching to learn why less estrogen makes cystitis more common. So most of us associate estrogen more to do with things like our monthly periods, our fertility, and when we reach the perimenopause and menopause, giving us symptoms such as hot flushes and night sweats. But estrogen is really important for keeping our bladder, the urethra, and that's the tube from the bladder, and also the vagina tissues healthy. It supports the lining of the bladder, the urethra, and the vagina. It helps to keep a healthy blood flow to the whole area. It helps to keep the tissue moist and flexible. And it also helps to support our natural defenses against harmful bacteria. So at the beginning of the perimenopause, and then as you go through the rest of the perimenopause and the menopause, as the estrogen starts to decline and the levels get lower, the tissues of the bladder, the vagina, and the urethra can become drier, they can become less flexible, they can become more sensitive, making the tissue more vulnerable to bladder infections, and it can also allow the kind of bad bacteria that can cause these infections to get a foothold much more easily, making an increase in the risk of cystitis and urinary tract infections. But that's only part of the story. So these changes can also impact on our microbiome. Now, most of you will have heard about the microbiome. We know about friendly bacteria in our digestive tract, how that helps to keep us healthy in many, many different ways. But we also have colonies of friendly bacteria in the vagina. And estrogen, when we have plenty of estrogen, it helps to keep these beneficial bacteria, which are called lactobacilli, thriving. And these friendly bacteria help to protect the urethra, the vagina, and the bladder from lots of infections. There are little guards and gatekeepers, if you like. So when our estrogen levels start to fall, the level of friendly bacteria can fall as well. That can also affect the pH in the vagina. Now, we tend to think of as acidic things as being bad, but in the vagina, the moisture is slightly acidic, and this is one of the reasons why it helps to support our friendly bacteria. So when estrogen falls, our pH level, the acidity can fall as well. And again, that leaves things more open to unfriendly bacteria who can get in. They can move from the vagina up the urethra and into the bladder, giving us things like cystitis and other bladder infections. And so there's a lot of things you can do to help yourself in this situation. The most important one really is keep hydrated. It's so, so important. If your bladder is more sensitive, if the urethra is more sensitive, and your urine is really concentrated because you haven't been drinking enough water, then the urine also becomes very acidic and it just starts to burn everything. So every time you go to the toilet, your urine is irritating that whole area. One of the ways that's really easy to tell whether you're dehydrated or not drinking enough water, and remember, other drinks like tea and coffee don't help, and they can make things worse. So if your urine is really bright yellow, if it's quite dark colored, if it's also got a really strong smell, these are good indications that you just need to be drinking more water. And very often, just having a real good big glass of water can ease symptoms really quickly. So also remember, it's really important, don't hold your urine in. If your bladder is weak and there's lots of pressure in there, it's not going to help. So always try and get to the toilet when you need to go rather than holding everything in. Also make sure it's really important that you go to the toilet after any kind of sexual activity as well, because again, that's another way that bladder infections can start too. Avoid your kind of chemical washes, your shower gels and your soaps. So only use really pure organic products for washing that whole area too. Don't go putting on things like talcum powder, and don't use any of these chemical vaginal deodorants as well. Remember, as I mentioned before, drinking lots of coffee, alcohol, fizzy drinks, eating lots of sugary foods, these can affect and also encourage the bad bacteria. You could also check with your doctor to see whether any kinds of vaginal estrogen products would be helpful for you, especially if you're getting a lot of vaginal dryness. But remember too that sea buckthorn oil is a great one for this, and it can also help to support the bladder and the urethra too. For herbal help, well, you can look at herbs such as uva ursi and echinacea, and these are in our cysto relief oral drops. And we know that these herbs can help to relieve the symptoms of cystitis, such as burning, frequent urination, and urgency to go. It's in drops. You can just put it in a little bit of water and take several times a day. Remember too, and this is really important, if you go to the doctor and you've got a bladder infection, the usual treatment is antibiotics. Yes, it clears up the infection and you think that's absolutely great, but those antibiotics will also kill off or damage the level of friendly bacteria in the vagina and the whole area. So you are then making yourself more vulnerable for repeat infections. And the more times you have antibiotics, the more times you may be likely to end up getting these infections. So it's really important to be very aware of this fact. And one of the things I recommend in this situation is a vaginal probiotic. So this is a specific one to help support the friendly bacteria in the vagina. It's not a digestive one. So when do you need to talk to the doctor? The really important thing here is that cystitis, if that's what it is, can worsen very, very quickly. And the longer you leave it, the more difficult it can be to clear up. So when you start to get symptoms and you think it might be cystitis, do get it checked by your doctor. If it comes back, there's no infection, then you can look at all the things that I've suggested. Remember, the water is the number one thing. And I would say, to be honest, the minute you get any inkling of any kind of bladder discomfort, drink a really big glass of water and have plenty of water for the next 24 hours. And very often that will just sort it out. But a really important, again, if you're bleeding when urination, if you're getting a lot of pain, if it's really debilitating, if you're getting a lot of pelvic discomfort as well, then it's really important to seek medical advice first. I hope you found this helpful. It's a really common one. And I think, to be honest, including myself, I think every single woman that I have spoken to who's gone through the perimenopause and menopause, we've all had an episode or two of cystitis. So, we're well aware how distressing and uncomfortable this one can be. If you've had any issues, what did you do to sort it? How did you cope with it? Remember to share your stories, because you could be helping someone else as well. Have a lovely week, and I'll see you soon.